Hello friends, and I got another special review for you tonight. My throat's still a little bit sore, but I'm going to be drinking hard liquor anyway. Anyways, what we will be reviewing tonight, not so much a review, but more just a discussion, because it's very difficult to find this in the States. When I lived in Japan, I fell in love with this. This was Awamori when Imajochu were the two beverages that I love the most in Japan. Now, Awamori is from Okinawa, and like shochu, it is a distilled beverage, and it's distilled from, unlike shochu, it is distilled from long grain rice, so from Thai rice, and instead, unlike shochu and sake, which uses a yellow koji mold or a white koji mold to go and break down the enzymes for the brewing process to occur, Awamori uses Okinawa's native black koji mold to go and break down the rice. Now, I have difficulty finding any Awamori whatsoever in the United States. This was actually ridiculously cheap. This was under $15. It's not overly traditional. It's about 48 proof, so 24% ABV. It's made with 25% rice spirits and 75% cane alcohol. So this would kind of be, it would be pushing it to call this even, middle shelf in terms of Awamori, which should be about over 50% distilled rice spirits. And they're using the term soju, which is a Korean term, instead of shochu, which is a Japanese term. And that's mostly because of tax reasons. There's some very arcane, weird reason. The United States taxes alcohol called soju cheaper than alcohol called shochu, despite the fact that they're essentially the same sort of distilled rice beverage. One's from Korea, one's from Japan. They're using the Korean thing just so, can be cheaper. And they're using a bag too, because it's also cheaper that way. So let me go and read this a little bit. Okinawa is a secluded island in between the East China Sea and Pacific Ocean. On this island is a mysterious village called Kuba. Ku means timeless, and Ba stands for haven in the Okinawan dialect. Legend has it diplomats, merchants, and warriors from all over Asia gathered in Kuba to rejuvenate, knowing Kuba as a safe retreat during the feudal eras. Awamori was generously served to all and given as a gift upon departing. Awamori is a handcrafted spirit made from Thai indica rice and koji, an ingredient indigenous to Okinawa necessary to produce a smooth, rich texture. Kuba Awamori is then aged in special earthenware pots called akame, resulting in a remarkably ultra-premium beverage. Served in cocktails or over ice with a lime garnish. So, I believe it's actually sourced material, though. It's not a single distiller. I believe they buy in bulk from other distillers and sort of mix their own. And this is sort of their main one, which is distributed along the west coast and in Hawaii. Export Awamoris are generally lighter than true Awamoris in Japan, which tend to be about 30 to 40% alcohol and up to 60% in special cases. The taste of this is also a lot more gentle than the Awamori I've had in Japan. That said, it's still very, very different. It doesn't taste Japanese, let's put it that way. Now pouring it, what the immediate smell that you get is of sweetness and of loamy earth. Now, that tends to, excuse me, I'm starting to get a little bit congested here. Now that tends to dissipate very quickly. As you notice, it's clear, but unlike a lot of clear alcohols, this has quite a bit of flavor to it. There is a base of earthiness to it. It's different from the earthiness of imojochu. Now that's why I love Awamori and imojochu, is because they have such strong, robust flavor profiles. Most shochu I found kind of on the bland side. There's sweet herbs in there, very herbal. There's a cut grass smell to it. It's very clean, which is a little bit of a downside. That means it's a little. You want a bit more funk with Awamori. In the same way, blue agave and tequila, adds that something, that distinctive je ne sais quoi to it. There's a certain funk to good Awamori that's a bit hard to handle for beginners. This doesn't really have it. It's still distinctly Awamori, but it doesn't have that funk. But that said, it is still. It's been years since I've had this. It's one of my favorite beverages, and I may be complaining about it, but this is definitely taken me to a happy place, and not because I'm drinking a whole bunch of it. This is, like I said, it's on the light side. But the flavor of this is just evocative of such great memories that I had in Japan. Music and food. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why people drink, sort of for the experience of it. And, it doesn't necessarily have to be good alcohol that brings back good memories. That said, this is not bad alcohol. I'm not going to say it's bad Awamori. It's kind of neutered Awamori to a certain extent. Just earthiness in the front. Just long, sweet finish. It's got quite a bit of a boozy kick to it, despite the fact that it's light, and full-strength Awamori definitely has a boozy slap to it. That's something you come to enjoy. Earthy, herbal, sweet. Some notes of like being inside of a, you go to Chinatown or another Asian part of town and you go to this place where they sell medicinal herbs, and it kind of smells like a little bit like the inside of those stores, just a bit. Now, one of my great desires, I don't think I'll ever get around to it, but I'd love to go to Okinawa, which is really funny. I'm in Hawaii, which is kind of like, we're about the same latitude as Okinawa, and pretty much same weather and same sort of laid-back island culture. And that's why I love it. Okinawa is pretty much a really different culture from the rest of Japan, because they're like Hawaii, they're an independent kingdom of their own for hundreds of years until the 1870s. When Japan invaded and kind of took it over and imposed their own language and culture on it. But underneath that, there is still the substrate of a very unique little culture. Little cultures, because Okinawa is just one island in the Ryukyu's chain, and each island sort of had their own dialect and their own practices, whatnot. I'm getting a hankering for pork. Okinawan cuisine, they use every part of the pig but the squeal. There's great stuff called rafute, which is sort of like this braised pork belly in a sort of brown sugar glaze. It's just absolutely wonderful. If you ever get a chance, try it. And it really goes well with this. You know, that sort of sweet and earthy quality to it. I would actually like to go and see Awamori. Well, Awamori is actually used in cooking, which is pretty good because, like I said, it's got sort of an herbal note to it. It's a lively beverage. It makes you want to get up and dance. So, in that vein, before in that vein, I'd like to go and say, if you're on the West Coast, and maybe if you're in like New York, I think they also distribute this set is Astoria liquors. But if you're in Hawaii or on the West Coast, someplace where they have like Asian goods store, where they sell sort of Asian alcohol, do yourself a favor and pick up a bag of this. It is really cheap. You're probably not going to find true Awamori. Maybe you will at incredibly inflated prices. This is affordable. It'll give you a good introduction. But just as a warning, if you go to Japan, and try the real stuff, it's going to be kicked up a few notches in strength and flavor. And it's all good, let me tell you. It's all good. So, we'll finish this off. I am going to play one of my favorite Okinawan songs. And this is called Haisai Oji-san. It's by Shokichi Kino. And it's a classic of Okinawan folk rock. Basically a song about, it's a dialogue in between like the author when he was a high school student and like a sort of laid back teacher of his. And his first verse is about him begging for a few drops of alcohol that the teacher was drinking at a party. The teacher says, "Oh no. You think there's anything left in this small bottle? It's all gone. It's mine. You think I couldn't drink all this small bottle?" And it kind of goes on, hey old man, I'm going to marry your daughter. She's really cute. He says, "You're too young for that. Go out and live a little and come back." And the guy says, "Okay, I'll marry when I got white hair." And it's just like this really funny, hilarious sort of back and forth in between a smart mouth kid and a teacher that just kind of doesn't give a shit, you know? If you're one of my Facebook friends, I'll go and post like a link to a translation of the lyrics. Again, if you're wondering, the artist is Koichi Kina Shokichi. No, Shokichi Kina in the Champlus. And with that, I give you all a good night. Good night.